I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Hill, Operations Director at Denovo and the newest accredited legal technologist in Scotland. How are you today, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, Ali. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, delighted. Thanks so much for saying you would be interviewed by me. Today we're going to look at what life is like as a legal technologist, how you got into this type of work, what's involved in it, what the process is, so that people who are thinking of following this path are able to consider whether or not to do so, and some of the interesting things that you've done with different law firms to try and move them forward. So as a starting point, what is life like as a legal technologist? What is it you spend your time doing?
Yeah, so my whole role here is operations director. Having been with Denovo a long time, been on the journey for quite a while. The last few years, I've become really interested in the technology, how clients are using the technology, and really been involved in some key projects with Denovo. When the Law Society launched this program a few years ago, it's one of the ones you think, right, am I there? Can I do that? Because it's a reasonable accreditation. There's quite a bit involved in it. You have to have given evidence of what you've worked on over the last few years. You then have to go and obtain 2 referees from authoritative figures within the legal community, which I did. So yeah, I mean, when I got notification of the accreditation, I was absolutely delighted. It's something I feel that I've worked hard towards. So to get that was something I was really pleased with.
Brilliant. So no, congratulations on doing so. I do know it is a difficult accreditation to receive. I think you were saying the numbers are fairly low of those who've actually successfully passed.
Yeah, so there's only 11 in Scotland. It's a Law Society of Scotland accreditation. So I'm aware of, I think I'm number 11, and the ones that have been accredited are all from reasonably big firms. I think just somebody can correct me, but I think I'm the first from a legal software company. So that I think stands us in good stead in how we communicate with the market, how we are viewed from a law firm's perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell our viewers and listeners, what is it that a legal technologist actually does?
I think the key to it is, for me, I love to have conversation with clients. So for me, communication and conversation is my number one focus. For me, it's never really about the technology as such. What I like to do is have discussions with law firms, find out how they operate, how can we help them improve that operation. And if you just have the conversation with them in just normal terms, in terms of what departments are doing what, and how they feel that they can improve the processes that they're going through, then it's up to me to then build the project and find the technology that will fit that solution, rather than having to go too in depth into what exactly the software is going to do for them. To me, I like to find real world solutions. That's the way I put it. So ones that take repetitive tasks, automate some of the processes. You're never going to automate all of them. You still need somebody on the ground pushing the buttons and making it work. But since we launched what we call caseload in 2019, the ability to have lots of different firm-specific add-ins and things that just they want has been huge for us, and it's something that I've really been involved in. We've developed and delivered some really decent-sized projects in the last few years, and I think that's a lot of what the Law Society are looking for to have you gain the accreditation. Basically, that's part of the evidence of work, really.
Right. So before we maybe talk about the process that's involved to become the technologist, I think it would be interesting to maybe talk about some of the transformations that you've been able to play a part in relation to firms? Because I think our viewers would be interested in that, to say, well, we're operating a law firm. We know there's a greater need for technology to come into it. We'd like to work a lot better. We'd like to serve our clients better. So they end up speaking to someone like you, a legal technologist, and outlining those plans. And you obviously help them and project manage that, I would say. But are you able to give us some outline of maybe some of the changes that you're able to take a firm from point A to point B?
Yeah, of course. What became really evident in 2019 is firms were looking for more digitized solutions. So things like e-signature, even court bundle creation, client communication, that they were looking to do different things. So when we built our e-signature platform and released that probably just on the cusp of the pandemic, it seemed like really good timing from our point of view. That's something that we had been working on. So I think e-signature and collecting things like AML ID digitally has made a huge difference to how law firms operate. When you can't see clients face to face, then these solutions become completely invaluable and something that has helped them massively. Other things like we've developed for some of our clients what we call like one-click onboarding packs. So you're getting an email from the firm when you've decided to go ahead with the transaction or whatever the legal matter happens to be, and you're able to get that documentation out to the client really quickly, because it is a competitive market. When there's no doubt that when clients are looking to take a law firm on for whatever they need, they're shopping around. So we needed to build solutions for our firms that meant that they were at the front of the queue, that it was seamless. The sign-up process I didn't have to download an app and sign into this, and it just becomes convoluted sometimes. So the easier we can make that, the more chance the client will go with the law firm, and the more business our law firms will win. A couple of stats around that, and these are legitimate stats collected from data that we have on our systems. Within the first year of the digital signature, we saw 65% of documents being sent back in under 2 hours, and something like 80 to 85% in 24 hours. That's a huge improvement on the days of sending a document in the post, printing it out, signing it, dropping it back in, traveling to do that. It seems madness now that was the process, and it still is the process for some firms. They're not all doing digital signature, as we know, but I think those are the types of projects for me that can really make a difference in how the firm operates and how the firm's viewed as well, because it's these days everyone wants information immediate, and they want to be able to process things immediately. They don't understand that a conveyancing transaction takes 8 weeks, for instance. They just don't get why that has to be the case. So the more you can sign them up digitally, get the AML all signed, sealed, etc., and then just move on with the transaction with a decent level of communication, then the more reviews they get, the more referrals they get, because that's the biggest number one way of winning business. So I appreciate I've rambled on a wee bit there, but there's value in what I'm saying and what I feel that can really improve the efficiencies of the firms.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, it's a point that's often made, which is that people find it very difficult to assess legal services because they don't often have another reference point, but they are able to assess customer experiences.
Yeah.
And those expectations are now being shaped by technology companies that provide frictionless customer experiences. So when you come into an important area of life, like legal matters, you expect a law firm to really replicate that, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose that's a key element of being a legal technologist then, is trying to help firms to kind of to make that type of customer experience.
Yeah, we're probably in the privileged position that we see a lot of different experiences at firms. So we know what our firms are doing or not doing, and we know ones that are working well, and we can take those experiences, help other firms, and we feel that we could build a community within our law firms of, they're not great at sharing information. I think that's widely known, that technology, and they become a bit cloak and dagger about what they're doing and how they're operating, because they don't want their IP being used elsewhere. And but we're in a kind of privileged position where we can deliver similar solutions to our firms that help improve the technology process, help improve our software. Our software is not going anywhere until we understand how it can help the firms in their day-to-day life. So yeah, we can certainly shape that and make sure that there's a little bit more transparency, without giving anything away, but a little bit more transparency in what kind of solutions we can help with.
Yeah, absolutely. So it shows the ever increasingly important role of technology and legal technologists in businesses. So could you tell our viewers who are interested, what is the process like? So you've been working in this area for a good number of years. You're aware of the accreditation, and you think to yourself, right, I want to do something about that. So I presume the first step is contact a law society, and what happens thereafter?
Yeah, so it's quite a straightforward process in reality. So the first thing is you go on the Law Society website, you sign up. For me, it was as a non-lawyer, so I had to sign up. Most lawyers already have like an account with the Law Society. So once I'm signed up, I'm then going through the accreditation process, and the start of it's mainly online. So they're looking for your CV first of all, and then there's various questions that they ask you to fill out, mainly around evidence of work. So things like outlining examples of technology projects that you've worked on over the last 3 years, which is some of which I touched on earlier. So that formed a big part of it for me, because I am heavily involved in a lot of that project work, and that was, for me, that was the first question, but it was also the most important question, because I felt I could bring a lot of evidence to the table of things that I've been working on. So you do that, and then you have to give examples of working with legal technology products. Again, luckily for me, that's me. I'm knee deep in that, having our own technology product to talk about. So that was a good question for me, when I felt that I could answer well in terms of detail of it's basically saying what's the level of your proficiency with the product. So that was something that was quite good. And then they just ask about your basically trying to get an understanding of your experience, where you've been able to show your like expertise, knowledge and skills, that type of thing. So for me, that was things, well, I was going to say right or wrongly, I got the accreditation, so this must have been a decent answer. But it was like what I'd been involved in. So I've done a few Law Society CPD conferences where I've been host or co-hosted certain sessions, like the Law Technology Conference, so Practitioner and High Street Conference, both in 2021. Obviously, my appearance on the Hey Legal podcast was right up there. That made a huge difference.
Absolutely, of course.
Of course, that was right at the top. And yeah, we spent and continue to spend a decent amount of time hosting webinars in the last 2 years, just telling anybody that turns up what they can do with the product, how it can help different practice areas. We've had you guys on, we've had other industry folk on as well that we've had conversations with. So all of that together, I think they're just looking for evidence of you being interested in having the conversation with people externally, really was the kind of last question. And then finally, they seek two referees, which I spoke about. So basically, they'll ask the referees maybe 4 or 5 questions about how well do you know the person, how do you feel they've performed, etc. Just like you would for a job interview almost. It's like,
yeah.
Is this guy decent? Is he talking? Is he right in what he says in terms of his experience? So yeah, those two were obviously decent as well. So that was good. And then you just wait for the committee to make a decision. That took a couple of months. Felt like ages. When you're just waiting for the yes or no. So yeah, that was pretty much the process. And for me, I'm just looking to continue that. I think they say it's a 3-year accreditation. You do have to pay for it. It's about 300 quid. So I just thought I'd highlight that as the final point before I forget to mention it. But yeah, for me, it's well worth that, and I'm happy to continue with my CPD in terms of just continue to be involved in events and just talking about what Denovo does and how we can help.
Okay, no, perfect. So 3-year accreditation, £300 to start the process. How long did it take you from literally logging into the website to set up your account to actually getting the decision from the committee?
That was about 2 months.
Right, in total.
2 months in total. So roughly applied in November and then just found out end of January about it. So not too bad at all.
That's good. That's brilliant. Well, congratulations again in relation to that. And I suppose before we finish up, it would be good to ask you, given that you're now at the forefront of the adoption of technology into law firms, and you're speaking to lots of different law firms and hearing what their plans are, what technological advances do you see law firms using to make a big difference to their business offering in the years ahead?
It's good from our perspective. We've got firms of all sizes who are bringing ideas to us all the time. And as I said, communication and conversation is the fundamental start of that. The entire business is built on trust with the clients. So it's finding out what solutions are going to work from them. And just the key for that is listening to what they're looking to achieve. The software can do lots of different things. We try and tailor that to different practice areas and make sure that they're all taking advantage of the different offerings. Because the most exciting part of my day as a technologist and as somebody working at Denovo is speaking to clients, finding out what they're looking to achieve with the technology. The way, I suppose, one of the first things we built a leads management piece of technology a few years ago now, and that really made a big difference. We were one of the first ones to do that I'm aware of, and firms are now starting to take on new business teams. They hadn't done that previously. They fundamentally need to focus on that because it's a huge part of the business. And what we built with the leads management side of that thing was somewhere where they could capture client data. They can capture the communication with the client pre them becoming a client in Matter in the system. So that was that was really huge for us, and it's made a big difference, and I think it will continue to make a big difference in the years ahead, and how you interact with your prospects, how you send them a quote, how you basically track convert and see where the source of business is coming from. We could go on about things like the marketing spend and where that is, and how you see the reporting from the leads management, how that shapes what your next campaign looks like if you're getting lots of inquiries about a specific work type, etc. So yeah, leads management for me is one of the fundamental key things that's going to drive law firms forward.
Yeah. Well, very wise advice. There's no doubt whatsoever that when opportunities come your way in today's world, they have to be taken quickly, processed quickly, converted into paying work. And from that, your business will prosper, because if you don't do it, one of your competitors will. But listen, Stephen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a fascinating insight into the process around becoming a legal technologist, what you spend your time doing, what's coming up as you see it for the future. And we'd obviously like to check in with you fairly routinely to see what else you think is happening in this very quickly developing area of the legal sector. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.